Another day, another story. It remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in aviation history. Some blame the Bermuda Triangle. It began as nothing more than a routine training flight. Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. At 2:10 p.m. on December 5th, 1945, 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers took off from a naval air station in Fefty, Lauderdale, Florida. The planes, collectively known as Flight 19, were scheduled to tackle a 3-hour exercise known as Navigation Problem Number 1. Their triangular flight plan called for them to head east from the Florida coast and conduct bombing runs at a place called Hens and Chickens Shoals. They would then turn north and proceed over Grand Bahama Island before changing course a third time and flying southwest back to base. Save for one plane that only carried 2 men. Each of the Avengers was crewed by 3 Navy men or Marines, most of whom had logged around 300 hours in the air. The flight's leader was Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor, an experienced pilot and veteran of several combat missions in World War II's Pacific Theater. At first, Flight 19's hop proceeded just as smoothly as the previous 18 that day. Taylor and his pilots buzzed over Hens and Chickens Shoals around 2:30 p.m. and dropped their practice bombs without incident. But shortly after the patrol turned north for the second leg of its journey, something very strange happened. For reasons that are still unclear, Taylor became convinced that his Avenger's compass was malfunctioning and that his planes had been flying in the wrong direction. The troubles only mounted after a front blew in and brought rain, gusting winds, and heavy cloud cover. Flight 19 became hopelessly disoriented. "I don't know where we are," one of the pilots said over the radio. "We must have got lost after that last turn. Compass failure, crash landing." Lieutenant Robert F. Cox, another Navy flight instructor who was flying near the Florida coast, was the first to overhear the patrol's radio communications. He immediately informed the air station of the situation and then contacted the Avengers to ask if they needed assistance. "Both my compasses are out and I'm trying to find Fetty, Lauderdale, Florida," Taylor said, his voice sounding anxious. "I'm over land, but it's broken. I'm sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down." Taylor's claim didn't seem to make sense. He'd made his scheduled pass over Hens and Chicken Shoals in the Bahamas less than an hour earlier, but he now believed his planes had somehow drifted hundreds of miles off course and ended up in the Florida Keys. The 27-year-old had just transferred to Fort Lauderdale from Miami, and many have since speculated that he may have confused some of the islands of the Bahamas for the Keys. Under normal circumstances, pilots lost in the Atlantic were supposed to point their planes toward the setting sun and fly west toward the mainland. But Taylor had become convinced that he might be over the Gulf of Mexico. Hoping to locate the Florida peninsula, he made a fateful decision to steer Flight 19 northeast, a course that would only take them even farther out to sea. Some of his pilots seemed to have recognized that he was making a mistake. "Damn it!" one man griped over the radio. "If we would just fly west, we would get home." Taylor was eventually persuaded to turn around and head west. But shortly after 6 p.m., he seems to have canceled the order and once again changed direction. "We didn't go far enough east," he said, still worried that he might be in the Gulf. "We may as well just turn around and go east again." His pilots probably argued against the decision. Some investigators even believe that one plane broke off and flew in a different direction, but most followed their commander's lead. Flight 19's radio transmissions soon became increasingly faint as it meandered out to sea. When fuel began to run low, Taylor was heard prepping his men for a potential crash, landing in the ocean. "All planes close up tight," he said. "We'll have to ditch unless landfall, When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together. A few minutes later, the Avengers' last radio communications were replaced by an eerie buzz of static. The search comes up short. The Navy immediately scrambled search planes to hunt for the missing patrol. Around 7:30 p.m., a pair of PBM Mariner flying boats took off from an air station north of Fatty, Lauderdale. Just 20 minutes later, however, one of them seemed to follow Flight 19's lead by suddenly vanishing off the radar. The remains of the Mariner and its 13 crewmen were never recovered, but it's commonly believed that the seaplane exploded shortly after takeoff. Flying boats were notoriously accident-prone and were even nicknamed flying gas tanks for their propensity for catching fire. Suspicions that the seaplane may have gone up in flames were all but confirmed by a passing merchant ship, which spotted a fireball and found evidence of an oil slick in the ocean. At first light the next day, the Navy dispatched more than 300 boats and aircraft to look for Flight 19 and the missing Mariner. The search party spent 5 days combing through more than 300,000 square miles of territory, to no avail. They just vanished, Navy Lieutenant David White later recalled. We had hundreds of planes out looking, and we searched over land and water for days, and nobody ever found the bodies or any debris. A Navy Board of Investigation was also left scratching its head. While it argued that Taylor might have confused the Bahamas for the Florida Keys after his compass malfunctioned, it could find no clear explanation for why Flight 19 had become so disoriented. Its members eventually attributed the loss to causes or reasons unknown, straining to explain the Flight 19 mystery. The strange events of December 5, 1945, have since become fodder for all manner of wild theories and speculation. In the 1960s and 70s, pulp magazines and writers such as Vincent Gaddis and Charles Berlitz helped popularize the idea that Flight 19 had been gobbled up by the Bermuda Triangle, a section of the Atlantic supposedly known for its high volume of freak disappearances and mechanical failures. Other books and fictional portrayals have suggested that magnetic anomalies, parallel dimensions, and alien abductions might have all played a role in the tragedy. In 1977, the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind famously depicted Flight 19 as having been whisked away by flying saucers and later deposited in the deserts of Mexico. Even if the lost patrol didn't fall victim to the supernatural, there's no denying that its disappearance was accompanied by many oddities and unanswered questions. Perhaps the strangest of all concerns Lieutenant Taylor. Witnesses later claimed that he arrived to Flight 19's pre-exercise briefing several minutes late and requested to be excused from leading the mission. "I just don't want to take this one out," he supposedly said. Just why Taylor tried to get out of flying remains a mystery, but it has led many to suggest that he may have not been fit for duty. Also unexplained is why none of the members of Flight 19 made use of the rescue radio frequency or their plane's ZBX receivers, which could have helped lead them toward Navy radio towers on land. The pilots were told to switch the devices on, but they either didn't hear the message or didn't acknowledge it. What really happened to Flight 19? The most likely scenario is that the planes eventually ran out of gas and ditched in the ocean somewhere off the coast of Florida, leaving any survivors at the mercy of rough seas and deep water. In 1991, a group of treasure hunters seemed to have finally solved the puzzle when they stumbled upon the watery graves of 5 World War II-era Avengers near Fort Lauderdale. Unfortunately, it was later found that the hulks belonged to a different group of Navy planes whose serial numbers didn't match those of the fabled Lost Patrol. Many believe the wrecks of Flight 19 and its doomed rescue plane may still lurk somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle. But while the search continues to this day, no definitive signs of the 6 aircraft or their 27 crewmen have ever been found. The disappearance of Flight 19 is a famous aviation mystery that occurred on December 5, 1945. Flight 19 was a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy bombers, known as TBM Avengers, on a training flight from the Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale in Florida. The flight was part of a routine navigation and combat training exercise called Navigation Problem No. 1. The planes, under the command of Lieutenant Charles Taylor, were supposed to fly east for a certain distance, then north, and finally back to base. However, something went wrong during the flight, leading to the mysterious disappearance of all 5 aircraft and their 14 crew members. Several factors contributed to the mystery. Navigation issues. There were reports of compass malfunctions during the flight, which confused the pilots and made it difficult for them to determine their exact location. Communication problems. Radio transmissions between Flight 19 and the base were sporadic and unclear. The pilots were having difficulty communicating with each other and with the ground. Weather conditions. The weather on that day was challenging, with overcast skies and rain. The sea conditions were also rough, making it challenging for the pilots to navigate. Search and rescue efforts. After Flight 19's disappearance, a PBM Mariner flying boat with 13 crew members was sent to search for the missing planes. However, this plane also disappeared without a trace. The disappearance of both Flight 19 and the PBM Mariner fueled speculation and added to the mystery. Various theories and speculations have been proposed to explain the disappearance, ranging from natural causes such as navigational errors, adverse weather, and fuel exhaustion to more speculative theories involving extraterrestrial activity or the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle, an area in the North Atlantic Ocean, has gained a reputation for the mysterious disappearance of ships and aircraft, although many of the incidents attributed to it have natural explanations. Despite extensive search efforts, no wreckage from Flight 19 or the PBM Mariner has ever been found, contributing to the enduring mystery surrounding their disappearance. The exact cause of the disappearance remains unknown, and the case of Flight 19 continues to be a subject of interest and speculation in the realm of aviation mysteries. The Flight 19 incident became one of the most enduring mysteries in aviation history, and the story continued to capture the public's imagination over the years. The Bermuda Triangle, a loosely defined region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, became associated with the disappearance of Flight 19, adding an element of mystique to the story. In the years following the incident, various investigations were conducted to try to unravel the mystery. The U.S. Navy's official investigation concluded that the most probable cause of the disappearance was navigational error leading to fuel exhaustion, which would have caused the planes to crash into the sea. Lieutenant Taylor, the flight leader, was criticized for deviating from the planned route and allegedly becoming disoriented. However, the official explanation did not satisfy everyone, and the Bermuda Triangle mythology continued to grow. The Bermuda Triangle is often defined by points in Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, forming a triangular area where numerous ships and aircraft were reported missing under mysterious circumstances. Flight 19 became a prominent part of the lore surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. Over the years, numerous books, documentaries, and articles have explored the Flight 19 mystery, often delving into supernatural and extraterrestrial theories. Some suggested that the pilots may have entered a time warp or encountered alien forces. While these theories are not supported by scientific evidence, they contributed to the enduring fascination with the Flight 19 incident. In the decades that followed, there were occasional claims of wreckage being discovered, but none were definitively linked to Flight 19. The lack of concrete evidence fueled speculation and allowed the mystery to persist. In 1991, the Discovery Channel sponsored an expedition to search for the wreckage of Flight 19 in the waters off the coast of Florida. Despite using advanced sonar technology, no conclusive evidence was found. The disappearance of Flight 19 remained unsolved. The legacy of Flight 19 lives on in popular culture, with references in books, movies, and television shows. The incident has become a symbol of the enigmatic and unexplained, contributing to the enduring allure of the Bermuda Triangle as a place of mystery and intrigue in the public imagination. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel